Well, I was coming here yesterday, also our brother Kenny was asking me what's the difference between mindfulness and concentration. These people who meditate might be interested. Actually, this word mindfulness is a translation they use nowadays for the Pali word, which is sati. And sati doesn't really mean mindfulness. Sati is defined in 9 sutras, 9 discourses in the same way. And the Buddha said sati means to remember what was said and done a long time ago. So it is the quality of remembering. Sati is recollection. It's not mindfulness. Sampajanya is mindfulness. There is another Pali word, sampajanya, which can be translated as mindfulness or awareness. It means to be aware of your body actions, to be aware of your mental movements. That means your body movements and your mental movements, your feelings, your thoughts, etc. And that is sampajanya, mindfulness or awareness. So, the purpose of practicing these two, sati, sampajanya, that is two things you practice in meditation. The first one, sati, is recollection. That means remembering to put your attention in the right place. Like in the Satipatthana Sutta, it says that you have to contemplate 4 things. First one is body, the nature of the body. Second one is feelings, how feelings arise and pass away, If you are very angry one moment, and then some moments later, you are no more angry. You are very happy, but the happiness cannot endure for very long. It depends on the reason for which you are happy. If it's, for example, passing your exams with straight A's, then you might be happy for many, many days. But still, that happiness will subside. So, the second thing you have to contemplate is feelings. The third one is mind, how the mind is changing. The state of the mind, whether it's concentrated, it is scattered, whether it's there is sloth and torpor, etc. So the state of the mind, that's the third thing you have to contemplate. The fourth one is Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha. To contemplate, to reflect on the teachings of the Buddha. So these 4 things are also basically 3 things. This one is body, the nature of the body, how the body is dependent on so many conditions. For example, if it's too cold, you can't stand it. Some people die when it's too cold in the winter, right? And when it's too hot also, some people die, like in India or Burma when it gets too hot. And then you are affected by the food you take. If you don't have enough water to drink, etc., your body also affected. Your body is affected by the food. If you don't have enough nutriment, you also may be either very weak or you may pass away. And so, the aim of this contemplation is to see that the body is so fragile. It's not something that's very strong, something that's very lasting. It was born due to certain conditions, it persists due to certain conditions, and it passes away or becomes sick or passes away due to certain other conditions. So, that's the aim of this contemplation, to see how impermanent this body is. So the other thing is the mind. The mind incorporates few things: feelings, perception, volition, consciousness. These are the main ingredients of the movement of the mind. Feelings, perception, volition, consciousness. So these two things, body and the mind, these are also the 5 khandhas, the 5 aggregates of attachment, 5 things that we associate with the self. And the third thing is Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha. So you have to remember to contemplate these 3 things, the body, the mind, and the Buddha's teachings. So that is the practice of sati, to remember, to contemplate these 3 things, because it helps you to see the nature of the self. And sampajanya is observing or being mindful of your body movements, your mental movements, to see how it changes due to certain factors. Mental movements generally are due to contact. For example, a sound comes. If you think it's a pleasant sound, you're happy feelings arise. And you have a perception that it is something pleasant. And then volition, maybe you want to continue to hear. But if an unpleasant sound comes, you are conscious of an unpleasant sound, somebody says something nasty to you, then your feeling of anger arises. You have this perception that this person is a repulsive person. Then you may decide to slap that person, or to walk away, or to argue, etc. So you can see that your mental movements are due to contact generally. And this contact can come from an object external to you. External objects that can contact you are sight of forms for you to see, sound for you to hear, smell for you to smell, taste, touch, contact. So these are the 5 external objects that contact you, and your mind starts to move. And then the 6th one is the internal contact. A thought arises. Maybe something from the past, or something that happened yesterday or today. You think about it. Then in the same way, one thought causes a proliferation of other thoughts. This is a term called papancha in Pali, proliferation of thoughts. Sometimes we think about what somebody said to us, and then we get annoyed. Then we think more about it. And then we get so angry that we can't think of anything else. We keep thinking of this person and this angry feeling, and we are boiling the whole day. Right? Some people, they get so angry, they can't sleep. Some people get so angry, they have a headache. So this anger is a poison in us. So we see that we are mindful that these contacts causes these various conditions to arise, feelings, perception, etc. So we come to realize that everything in the world is conditioned, dependent origination, paticca samuppada. Another very important aspect of the Buddha's teaching, that everything in the world arises due to conditions. Every single thing in the world. For example, this cup. You see this cup. It wasn't like this before. Right? It's made of clay. And that clay wasn't clay before. The clay also came from something else. So everything continues to change in this world. Energy is always changing. Probably in 10 years' time, this cup will be no more. It will be broken up and scattered all over. So the human body is also like that. Basically, we are made out of the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind. And everything in the world basically also made out of these 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind. So when you look at your body, you're not very much different from a tree. The tree also has these 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind. If somebody cuts your hand, blood flows out. If you go and chop a tree, the sap flows out, right? The difference is we have the mind. You are able to think. But actually all beings also have a mind, isn't it? Animals and all that, they can also think. And even the tree, it's got a certain intelligence, right? When the sun is in that direction, it will go towards the sun, right? So, the difference is that man, our thinking faculty is more developed than animals and all that. That's why we are called M-A-N, from the word Manusya. And all these words, or in Pali is Manusa, they all come from Mano. Mano, M-A-N-O, is the thinking faculty. So because our thinking faculty is most developed, that we are number one in the world, right? We may be 5 or 6 feet, but we can control an elephant much bigger than us. We can catch the whale, so much bigger than us. Even the tiger is a bit scared of us when we have a gun in our hand, right? So that is Sati Sampajanya. Sati is to remember, to contemplate these three things, body, mind, and the Dhamma. And Sampajanya is to be aware or mindful. Now concentration is a bit different. Concentration, there are basically three levels of concentration. The lowest level, you can call it momentary concentration. It's, for example, when you read a book or you watch TV. So when you're reading a book, somebody walks by, you're quite absorbed in your book, you may not be aware of that person walking by. Or that person says something to you, you're not aware because you're absorbed in your book. This is momentary concentration. And then medium concentration is when your mind is fairly focused, when you are meditating with your eyes closed. You are meditating, for example, on your breath. And because you have a certain degree of concentration, the mind is one-pointed on one object. So, some brightness comes forth from within, some brightness wells up from within. That is medium level concentration. And perfect concentration, Samma Samadhi. In the suttas, it always, as the Buddha gave two ways to two definitions. One is 4 jhanas. 4 jhanas is perfect concentration. And another definition is one-pointedness of mind, or singleness of mind, unity of mind. So this perfect concentration, your mind is kind of absorbed on one object. So absorbed that slowly the world fades away from you. And this absorption also has various levels. You have the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. Then after that, the immaterial jhanas. Immaterial jhanas are when the mind starts to expand. The first one is the base of boundless space. And the mind is aware of boundless space. And then the second level is the base of boundless consciousness, where you're aware that your consciousness is boundless. And the third one is the base of nothingness, where you begin to realize that the empty nature of the world, as though everything were a dream. And then the fourth one is the base of neither perception nor non-perception, where the consciousness is about to fade away. It's like a candle. The light is almost about to go off. So sometimes it is perceptive, sometimes it is not perceptive. That is the days of neither perception nor non-perception. And the highest level is cessation of perception and feeling, where perception and feeling ceases, which means the normal fixed consciousness ceases. And here, the exact state, different monks have different interpretations. Some monks say that there is totally no consciousness. Some monks say that you are aware, you are conscious, but it is a totally different type of consciousness, a type of consciousness without a self, no self. Going back to your original home, going back to your Creator. So, these are this is the state of perfect concentration. Now this lowest level, momentary concentration, if you use it on listening to the Buddha's teachings, because the Buddha's teachings are the teachings from somebody who is enlightened. So when you listen, you concentrate on it, you contemplate the Buddha's words, it is possible to attain the first stage, Sotapanna, the first level of sainthood, this level of Aryahood, the first path. And a person who attains the first path will attain the first fruition before he passes away. Now to attain the second path, Sakadagamin, you need medium concentration. Medium concentration. When you attain medium concentration, the mind becomes quite tranquil. So because the mind becomes quite tranquil, two things you notice reduce. There is a change in that person who attains medium level concentration. First one is sensual desire reduces. And the other thing is ill will or anger reduces. If a person had a bit of a temper previously, after attaining this medium level concentration, the anger reduces very, very much. So that is medium level concentration. That will bring you to Sakadagamin, second stage, second path or second fruition. But to attain third path or third fruition, then you must attain perfect concentration. A person who has perfect concentration, the passions are all reduced to a very, very low level. You can say abandoned. So because of that, the five hindrances are abandoned in him, down to such a low level that it's no more a hindrance. So when that kind of person listens to the Buddha's discourses, he can become an arahant. Like what happened to 1,000 jatilas, they were matted hair ascetics. The Buddha taught them one discourse, and 1,000 of them became arahants. So now this concentration doesn't mean putting your attention on one object and another object and another object and another object. Unfortunately nowadays the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, is very much polluted. And a lot of monks, they study a lot of other books. Sometimes, very often, they teach from other books other than the Buddha's original discourses. For example, nowadays a lot of Burmese monks teach from the commentaries, teach from the Visuddhimagga, teach from Abhidhamma. And because of that, their interpretation is different. So nowadays there's a lot of stress on Vipassana meditation. And they are claiming that it is possible to become an arahant without jhana. Without jhana. But according to the Buddha's discourses, this is impossible. For a very simple reason. What is an Arahant? An Arahant is one who has destroyed the asavas. Asavas are mental outflows, the mind flowing continually. The Arahant has totally destroyed the asavas. The mind does not flow, it does not have stray thoughts. So, when a person attains jhana, jhana can be, formerly jhana used to be translated as meditative absorption. But I prefer to translate it as a state of mental incandescence, because the word jhana literally means a fire, or incandescence, brightness. So when a person attains jhana, the mind becomes bright. That's why a person who is always absorbed in jhana, he is reborn in the Brahma world with a very bright body. So when a person attains jhana, while that person is in jhana, the mind is intensely concentrated, and that person is very aware, very aware. And nowadays, some people, they don't understand the state of jhana. They think it's a trance state, as though, you don't know what is happening, as though you have no mindfulness. This is what some meditation teachers say. But actually, that state of jhana, you have an intense state of mindfulness, intense state of recollection. So, when a person is in that state of jhana, as long as that person is in jhana, the asavas stop flowing. So when a person enters jhana, temporarily the asavas are stopped. So that is why jhanas are halfway stations to nibbana. When a person enters nibbana, or a person becomes an arahant, the mind does not flow anymore. No more asavas. So jhanas are halfway stations to nibbana. That is why it is impossible to become an arahant without jhana. If you cannot even stop the mind from flowing temporarily, how can you stop it permanently? Right? So that's why nowadays there's a lot of wrong teachings. So unless you are familiar with the four Nikayas, the earliest discourses of the Buddha, some monk teaches you something that is contrary to the Dhamma, you won't know. But the Buddha said in the suttas, be a refuge unto yourselves, be a lamp unto yourselves, be a refuge unto yourselves with no other refuge. Take the Dhamma as your lamp, take the Dhamma as your refuge with no other refuge. So you have to rely on yourself and rely on the Buddha's words in the sutta. Don't rely on anybody else.